Actually one of those people. I am sitting on death row for nothing more than a series of lies because I wasn't going to sign my life away for something I didn't do.
In the annals of criminal history, certain cases captivate the public imagination, revealing the disturbing depths to which human behavior can descend. One such case that shook Marion County, Florida, was the notorious Emilia Carr murder trial. In February 2009, Heather Strong was kidnapped and murdered by Emilia Carr. Emilia became the youngest female murderer to be given a death sentence. The kidnap and murder was assisted by Joshua Fulgham, Heather's estranged husband, who happened to be in a relationship with Emilia at the time. After police investigation and court trials, both were given their much-deserved sentences. However, sentences given can always be appealed. So what did that mean for Emilia? Looking back at the life of Emilia, she was once leading a somewhat ordinary life, which then became the center of a macabre web of deceit, betrayal, and violence. She was the second of 3 sisters and had suffered from abuse from her father in her younger days. She was only 4 when she was sexually assaulted by her father, and when she spoke of it at the age of 15, she withdrew her complaint. Her father was given a prison sentence of 4 years for planning the murders of his family. The family history certainly had an impact on Emilia herself, as she too planned and executed the murder of Heather. Emilia was only 16 when she first got married, and then became pregnant with her first child. Whilst at school, her IQ was 125, and her intelligence was reflected in her work, a bright student who darkened her future. Emilia was married twice and had 3 children at the time of offense. She also had a restraining order against one of her ex-husbands in relation to domestic violence. Violence, abuse, and assault sadly seemed to be a part of her life, through her close relationships. After being engaged to Joshua in November 2008, he strangely married Heather a month later. The connection between Joshua and Emilia remained, and her family members even stated how Emilia babysat Heather's children. Thereafter, Heather and Joshua separated, and there was a legal battle over the custody of their 2 children. As they parted ways, Joshua re-entered a relationship with Emilia, and Heather started seeing someone else. Heather attended local schools, worked as a waitress, and began dating Joshua in her teens, a relationship that soon began to worry her family. She was from Mississippi, and worked in the Iron Skillet restaurant by the gas station. She had tried moving out from Florida with her 2 children. Prior to Joshua's involvement in the crime, he was seemingly indistinguishable from countless others. However, he had a criminal record and threatened Heather with a shotgun not long before. Behind his unassuming facade, a darker side emerged. Joshua's life took a sinister turn as he became embroiled in the brutal murder of his wife. So what happened, and why was Heather murdered? The shocking details unfolded as Emilia and Joshua were accused of luring Heather to a rented storage unit, driven by paternal and financial greed. Financial gain was the driving force of this crime, and ultimately they both faced the consequences of their actions. As Heather had threatened to take the children away and demanded payments for child contribution, Joshua put his devious plan into action. On 15 February 2009, Heather was reported missing, and a month after, on March 19th, her remains were discovered. After investigation by the detectives, Emilia was arrested on March 24th. The detectives presented audio recordings of the conversation Emilia had with Joshua's sister detailing the murder. Emilia, who was 7 months pregnant at the time of offense, had tricked Heather into the storage container behind the home of Emilia's mother. She then attempted to break Heather's neck but remained unsuccessful. She thereafter used a plastic bag and suffocated her. Heather was duct taped to a computer chair and eventually died of asphyxiation. Joshua evenly participated in this murder. Her body was found in a shallow grave near the storage unit. It had a wooden plank over a bag containing her remains with soil piled on top. Testimony and evidence during the trial exposed a web of manipulation, betrayal, and cold-blooded planning. Witnesses detailed Emilia's active participation in the murder, implicating her in the heinous acts committed. The prosecution also presented forensic evidence, including DNA samples and surveillance footage, linking Emilia and Joshua to the crime scene. As the trial progressed, the jury heard disturbing accounts of the premeditated nature of the murder. Emilia and Joshua were accused of meticulously planning the crime. The evidence presented during the trial painted a vivid picture of the couple's involvement in the murder and their subsequent attempts to cover up the crime. Ultimately, the jury found Emilia guilty of first-degree murder, armed robbery, and armed kidnapping. She received a death sentence as a result. Joshua also faced a trial separately, and was likewise convicted for his role in the murder. However, he got a life sentence instead. Joshua was also found using Heather's credit cards days after she was murdered. When it was time for the jury to vote, majority voted for a death sentence for Emilia. Emilia, who was 26 at the time, denied the allegations and claimed she was threatened by the police for taking away her kids. She said she had to make up stories and all the allegations are false. However, audio recordings of her conversations with Joshua's sister was clear evidence of her involvement. Emilia was placed in the annex at Lowell Correctional Institution in Marion County on February 23, 2011. She was given the death sentence by having a lethal injection. However, on May 19, 2017, the sentence was changed to life without parole after the case was appealed. Amidst the chaos of this case, the children of both women were displaced. Emilia had her fourth child whilst held in jail, and all of her children were placed in foster care. Heather's children have since been adopted.